And away we go. It's The Dish here, powered by Moonshots MLB. Dan Strafford along with you on this Monday, April 17th, 2023. Some Major League Baseball DFS is in our future. 7:10 first pitch for a main 9-game slate. Looking over on DraftKings. Currently sitting in a rain delay. Angels, Red Sox. Angels up 5-1 in the Patriots Day game that was delayed at the start. Shocked that the Angels still went with Ohtani today. Brian Bayo also kind of thrown to the wolves with awful weather. Downpour here probably about 15, 20 minutes ago. Absolutely crazy with how much rain came through. And for anyone running the marathon, which I have two friends from college who are doing just that, bless your soul, as they would say in the South, or bless your heart, I guess I should say. All is well on the Stratford front. Spring break is upon us. Two oldest are in camp. Youngest is at a friend's house. So I'm taking my lunch break now to record this video and get back to work shortly. We do have 9 games on this slate. We're going to go through our matchups. We also have Vegas open here, so we can skip through the 3-6-40 games. There is a turbo slate for that. And head on over to Moonshots MLB for projections specifically on that. Remember, you can get your account up and running right here. If you're watching on YouTube, $159 for 2023. That's a one-time payment, $29 per month. That is recurring. So you go May, June, July, August, September, and then you factor in April because we're halfway through April. And you're paying more than that $159. Just to point that out, $9 per week. Again, extrapolate that out. You're paying more, $3 for a day pass. That's great. And I think if you are skeptical, which, fine, you can be skeptical about things. That gives you a chance to check out the website, check out the optimizer, and see what is in store. So a quick look at Vegas here. 7:10 is our first game, and you'll notice there's a half hour between that start time and the Kansas City start time. So that's an 8 over-under as of right now. It opened at 7. Both the Phillies and White Sox have gained half a run there. Rangers and Kansas City, 7.5 over-under. Kansas City at 3.1. Texas at 4.6. Texas offense not very good with Corey Seager not in it. So we'll have to take a look at some numbers there and see if there's anything to pick at. Diamondbacks and Cardinals, 8.5 over under 4.8 implied for the Cards, 3.9 for Arizona. Toronto and Houston, 8 over under 8.5 was the open, 4.2 for the Blue Jays, 4 for the Houston Astros. We do have a Colorado game on tap. It's Colorado Rockies against the Pittsburgh Pirates. 11.5 is our over under, 6.7 for the Rockies, 5.7 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I do want to dive into that game a little bit more than just the hey, play offense and Coors take that we hear so often. Atlanta and San Diego, 8.5. This game in California, 4.7 implied live total for Atlanta and 4 for the Padres. Max Fried on the mound there. We'll get to pitcher matchups momentarily. Not sure why I'm doing this hand gesture. For anyone watching on YouTube, not really sure what it means, but nonetheless. Milwaukee and Seattle, 7.5 over under. Opened at 8. We have 4.4 and 3.8 respectively for the two squads. Chicago Cubs, Oakland A's, 4.4 implied live for Chicago, 3.8 for Oakland. 8 is our over-under, up from 7.5. And the Mets and the Dodgers, 8.5 is our over-under, 3.9 for the Mets, 4.8 for LA. So let's take a look at our matchups dashboard here on moonshotsmlb.com. Rangers at Royals, Kauffman Stadium. Decent temp at 68, 28% relative humidity. Wind lightly blowing out to left center field. Jacob deGrom versus Jordan Lyles. We'll check out deGrom's projection shortly. Diamondbacks and Cardinals, some strong winds blowing out at 14 miles an hour. Merrill Kelly versus Jack Flaherty. Blue Jays at Astros. Kevin Gausman versus Christian Javier. Pirates and Rockies, 72 degrees, 12% relative humidity. That's Rich Hill versus Kyle Freeland. Cubs and Athletics. This game in Oakland, 20-mile-an-hour winds projected in this one in Oakland. Have not looked into how much the winds affect Oakland Coliseum, but anything above 15, 18 miles an hour seems worthwhile. Blowing out to right center field, you have Hayden Wesneski versus Kyle Muller. Braves at Padres, 56 degrees, 86% relative humidity. Max Fried, Ryan Weathers. Brewers at Mariners, 48 degrees, 69% chance of rain for Seattle here. Shocking, it's going to rain in Seattle. 71% relative humidity, 13-mile-an-hour winds. Corbin Burnes and Chris Flexen. And Mets at Dodgers. That is 57 degrees, 79% relative humidity. David Peterson versus Dustin May. So let's dive into some of these numbers quickly here. On the high end of the strikeout totals, Rangers at 24.2%. That's a matchup that you're probably not going to go to. Jordan Lyles, you have the money line at minus 210 here, according to DraftKings Sportsbook. Jordan Lyles is not a good pitcher. Jordan Lyles has been 5 or 6 Major League Baseball teams, I think, over his career, if I remember correctly. I know Milwaukee, I know Texas. Oh, they're right here. Baltimore, Kansas City, so 5. No, that's 4. 4 teams? Has he only been in the league that long? All right, feels like that's off, but you can see against lefties, there are major struggles. Against righties, there are major struggles. Doesn't strike out a ton of bats. So even though this Texas Rangers lineup is a little bit weak without Corey Seager, Nathaniel Lowe or Lau, I always get these two mixed up. Adolis Garcia, Josh Young or Zhang, I need to look up that one too. Let's take a quick run over to Baseball Reference. I know you all love doing this with me live as I try to remember how to pronounce players' names. There was Carl Jung, which was a psychologist many years ago. Do we get a pronunciation? It says Young, so Josh Young. Josh Young. And then, who was the other one that I was just mispronouncing? Nathaniel. Nope, not what I want to do. Oh, you get to watch me click terribly on things, too. This information is none better. So it's Lowe. So it's Nate Lowe and Brandon Lau. See if I remember that next time out. So this 3-4-5 is pretty intriguing to me. Josh Smith, Marcus Semien, all variables here, too, as well. If you want to go to a 5-man stack. The matchup's juicy. I don't love ever playing Jacob deGrom anymore because I feel like he's just giving up home runs. So, again, Vinny Pasquantino, MJ Melendez. If we look into deGrom's numbers, he's a power pitcher, just like Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer. They do give up home runs. On the year, has given up just one. Does have an ERA of 4.32. Ks per 9. Very, very, very nice to see. In 3 games started, 14.58 Ks per 9. K percentage against lefties, K percentage against righties. It's all there. DeGrom's price point is still reasonable at 10-1. I guess he's going to be a part of a lot of lineup building. Probably a cash game option. Look at the Royals, 22.3%. There's only walking 6.6% of the time. ISO 151 on the lower end here against righties. So not breaking any news here, but DeGrom will be popular in this matchup. Diamondbacks and Cardinals, it's Merrill Kelly and Jack Flaherty. Diamondbacks just at 19.2% strikeout rate. Their projected lineup, 2022 through 2023. That is a matchup against Jack Flaherty. The Cardinals at 19.7, 3.41 WOBA against righties. This Cardinals lineup has been quite dynamic on the year. You do get some salary relief if our projected lineup is accurate, where you talk about Alec Burleson, you talk about Lars Nootbaar, if in the lineup, Nolan Gorman. These are pieces that could be moved around a little bit, so you might get some better batting order positions. For the Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte, Josh Rojas at the top. These lefty bats, the ISO is creeping towards 200 for Jack Flaherty against lefties over the past year and a half or so. WOBA at 3, expected WOBA at 330. ISO against righties is pretty strong, so I don't know that I'm going to look for the all-or-nothing power of Gurriel or Walker, but Corbin Carroll is cheap. You know, if he gets on base, there's stolen base opportunities there. You are going against Contreras. It's not Yadi Molina back there anymore. I don't know Contreras' stolen base numbers directly in front of me, but so the lefty bats in this Diamondbacks lineup are at least intriguing to start. Blue Jays and Astros up next. This is Gausman and Christian Javier. What do we got for strikeout rate for the Blue Jays so far this year? They're 20.2. So this is, again, 2022, 2023. All their numbers are unsurprisingly strong against righties and lefties. Christian Javier, very good K rate against righties. ISO is limited. 9,200, not a great matchup. Is this a leverage spot for Christian Javier? Is this one where Javier will be low owned against a team that hits well and give you some upside from a strikeout perspective? Let's dive into our Whiffers row. Javier listed at 6.7 strikeouts. Line is 6.5, so take note of that. He's second behind Jacob deGrom at 7.9. Christian Javier is a guy, depending on ownership percentages, could be in line to be that pivot off of deGrom at the top to give you potential high end on strikeouts. The Blue Jays don't strike out a ton, so this is a risk, obviously, that I don't think anyone doesn't see, but would be something that is at least worthwhile depending on your lineup construction. You're playing multiple lineups, which I typically do not this early in the year. I will end up playing probably 5 to 10 as the season goes on any given slate. But I think Javier is intriguing to me. I would have to take a look at some early ownership projections to see if it makes any sense to actually get to Javier. On the other side, Kevin Gausman at 10-2. He's had some very solid numbers. You look across the board here. I'm highlighting on my screen, but it's 26.6 K percentage against righties. In 82 innings pitched, it's 29.9%. Sorry, against lefties, 29.9% against righties. Walk rate is low. ISO is low. So Gausman's been getting it done. He's one of those names that from his Orioles days, I never really trusted, but he has had a really strong run. Last season with the Blue Jays, sported a 3.35 ERA. Just 15 home runs on the year. He's given up 2 home runs so far. K per 9 of 11.25 across 3 starts. He's 1-1. Again, take wins with a grain of salt, wins and losses. But his numbers are really solid. Total K minus walk of, what are we at, 24.7? I don't like Gausman here. I think this matchup with a very powerful Astros team is not somewhere I'd want to go. The Blue Jays are favored slightly. Let's see what we got on our matchup dashboard. Blue Jays minus 120. Right? Yeah. Astros plus 100. Close to a pick'em. Close. Not exactly a pick'em, but close. Pirates at Rockies. So this is a game I just want to highlight because I think it's fascinating. So it is a gigantic over-under. Minus 140 for the Rockies, plus 120 for the Pirates. Rich Hill is 77 years old, and he's turning into Jamie Moyer before our eyes. But he's given up 6 home runs already on the year. Has 8 strikeouts, 4 walks. This is in 3 starts. He has 2 losses. You gotta love the Rockies here. Where'd the Rockies game go? Why isn't it now? Oh, there it is. Sorry. So Rich Hill against the Rockies. Against lefties, an ISO of 0.083. Fine. K percentage of 22.8%. But against righties, 214 ISO, 19.3% K percentage. Chris Bryant, CJ Cron, Elias Diaz. Even you get down to Daza and Montero, and all these bats are options. Profar at the top. I will always go back to Charlie Blackmon in his career. I've talked about this, I think, for 10 years now. Excuse me. I have the heat on in my garage still. It's space heater, so it dries out the vocal cords. But Charlie Blackmon against lefties in his career has always, until recent years, so I'm going to acknowledge that, had very good numbers in the power department. They've been somewhat surprising, to be honest. As it were, over the course of his career. Charlie Blackmon's also 36. He's seen a decline in his skill set over the past few years. Just 16 home runs last year. Go back to 2019, 32 home runs. Potential MVP candidate back in the mid 2010s, the teens and the 20s there. But if I'm stacking Colorado, I'm not avoiding Charlie Blackmon. I'm not saying, lefty numbers aren't good enough and Rich Hill suppresses power. I'll take the 2, 3, 4, 5 here without even batting an eye. Diaz is just 3,700. Blackman's 4,100, so it's not like you're spending up to get him. On the other side, though, and this is why I wanted to talk about this game, is Kyle effing Freeland. Look at these numbers. 2-0, giving up 2 home runs, 11 strikeouts, 5 walks, nothing great there. But K per 9 not there, but he has a .96 ERA. What's happening? What's actually going on? And if you look at it, that's 20. I think I have to scroll down. Yeah, 2023 here. This was at home. He put up 25.4 DraftKings points against the Nationals. I know the Nationals don't have the most potent offense, and then put up 14.7 against the Cardinals, and that's where he gave up the 2 home runs. Went 6 innings, 2 runs, both of them earned, 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. I'm not keen on playing too many Pirates here. Yeah, they're pieces of it are cheap enough. We get Hayes at the top, 3,800. Connor Joe at 3,500. Carlos Santana's 3,400. So price point wise, they'll probably find their way into your optimized lineups simply because of the way the optimizer will gauge the projection and the price point. But Freeland's been pretty good. I haven't dug deep into any of his underlying stats. His pitch mix, he's sitting high 80s, low 90s. I don't know if it's just that his accuracy has been great, but ISO definitely, his fastball gets hit over the 3 games to start the year. But either way, Kyle Freeland has surprised me. I don't think it's going to last. I don't think he's going to have a sub-1 ERA. I know, again, breaking news there, but I do find it fascinating that he's had such a strong track record to start the year as we continue on here. Cubs at Athletics. It's Wisniewski versus Kyle Muller. Cubs are minus 135 on the road here. The Athletics lineup just sucks. Sorry to any A's fans out there, but middle of the pack when it comes to K percentage, low on the walk percentage. A WOBA of just 286 against righties, 146 ISO. It's just a bad team. It's a bad lineup. So Wisniewski here, who was pretty popular in spring training, made his way up a lot of draft boards. Cubs are at 4.4, Oakland at 3.8. Wisniewski is 7,100? Is that right? I have to find his price point. Here we go. Scroll. Rangers, Royals, Diamondbacks, Blue Jays, Astros, Pirates, Rockies. Nope, up next. Wisniewski, 6,300. He doesn't strike out a ton. Can recognize that. K percentage right around 22%. Walk rate higher against righties, not surprising. WOBA 325. ISO's pretty low. So Wisniewski in a pitcher's park, Oakland Coliseum, plenty of foul ground. You pick up some extra outs with foul outs and the like. Seems like a viable play here. Again, we look at the weather. I have not dug into how much the weather plays a part in Oakland. Where's that dashboard? There it is. But again, 20-mile-an-hour winds out to right center field. Not ideal. Kyle Muller on the other side. The Cubs on the year, 23.1%. K percentage against lefties. Not a ton of power. Muller. Let's dive in a little bit deeper here as I pull up his player page. Walks are a problem so far this year. K percentage is about 7. Whew. Kyle Muller is not someone I will be looking at tonight, so take that as quick back-of-the-envelope math. Braves at Padres. It's Ryan Weathers against Max Fried. Fried is just 8,100 in this matchup here, where the Braves are minus 145. Obviously, the Padres have a ton of power in their lineup. They do not strike out against left-handed pitchers. 17.3%. They walk 10.1% of the time. You're talking about Machado and Bogarts and Juan Soto, all of these great hitters in this lineup. Looks like we already have a Kansas City Royals lineup. We'll see if DeGrom's projection changes at all there. But Bogarts, Machado, Soto hits well against lefties. Nelson Cruz. So while Max Fried does a good job against lefties and righties, keeps the ball in the park, doesn't walk anybody, I don't like him even at 8,100. This lineup scares the crap out of me. I think there's so much power in this lineup, so much patience in this lineup, that Fried's not going to give you that upside on a game like this. At 8,100, I can understand projecting him to 15, 17 points maybe. Let's see what Max Fried is at 14. 14.5 DraftKings points thus far. I get it. I will not be playing Max Fried. Right now, as we go through this, my sort of first look, it's going to be Christian Javier, and it might be Wisniewski in tournaments if I'm trying to get some extra savings. Not a ton of strikeouts there for Wisniewski, but cheap price point. Give me 12 points, give me 14 points, I'll be happy. Brewers at Mariners. This is Chris Flexen versus Corbin Burns. Burns, very strong numbers against righties and lefties alike. ISO is low. This is a very potent offense for Seattle, though tonight projected at 3.8, or that's what the implied live run total is, 7.5 over under. Corbin Burns has struggled a little bit on the season. Let's dive in here quickly. You see 2 home runs, 14 strikeouts, 5 walks. Walks per 9, elevated a little bit, and you're going to see that across everybody. 14 strikeouts, as I said, across 17.1 innings. He's 1-1. Again, take that with a grain of salt. But all the peripheral numbers look pretty good. The ERA at 5.19, I haven't dug into. But if you look across the last year and a half, looks fine. Let's see what we got. These are our charts. Here we go. Here it starts. Okay. Against the Diamondbacks, big bounce back last time out. Starting the season against the Cubbies did not look great. Walks were a problem. Against the Mets, struggled as well. Diamondbacks went out and did his work. 8 strikeouts, just 3 hits. Went 8 innings. Only 89 pitches. So you have to like that Burns righted the ship last time out. We look at our dashboard here for the Mariners, and they're our 4th highest K percentage against the handedness that they're facing. 179 ISO, 22.6 is that strikeout percentage. Corbin Burns is 8,800. So Burns enters the chat for me. Burns is somebody with Wisniewski and Javier and DeGrom. So those are 4 pitchers so far that I'm interested in. Mets, Dodgers, Dustin May against David Peterson. May up at 8,400. David Peterson at 6,800. That's a cheap enough price point for a pitcher that does have strikeout ability, strikeout stuff, quote unquote, as I'm making awful air quotes here on the YouTube video. But this is just not a team that I want to run a young pitcher out against. Even with some pieces missing, Dodgers team is just really good. Against lefties, you have an ISO of 295 for Mookie Betts. Oh, that's absurd. On the other side, Dustin May, I've talked about him a few times out, is somebody that I loved coming into the year. Not striking out righties as well as you may have assumed coming into the major leagues, but he's reduced power. He's 8,400 as well. That's too close to Corbin Burns for me. I'd rather go Burns even against the Mariners, who have shown some pop on the season. Jarred Kelenic still just, I think I'm mispronouncing his name as well. Let's see. Quick, to Baseball Reference. Jarred Kelenic. Jarred Kelenic has shown some pop on the year with an ISO of 243 against right-handed pitchers. I still like Burns over Dustin May, just back of the envelope with the walk troubles we've seen from May and the low strikeout totals against right-handed batters. We're going to see Starlin Marte. We'll see Pete Alonso. We might see Mark Canha. So I think that would keep me away from May. There are no Mets bats that I think are mispriced in any way that would intrigue me. What's the Mets total again? 3.9. It's just not an offense that I'm interested in. Dodgers, I can always pull pieces from in this lefty matchup. Betts, Will Smith, JD Martinez, all viable as one-offs, I think, as we think about stacking the Rockies or other pieces as we go through. Well, I just edited something out of this podcast because I completely did not recognize that the Phillies and White Sox were postponed. And so I went talking through everything and wondered why there weren't projections for them. But you get back 2 minutes. You don't have to listen to me talk about Bryson Stott or Zach Wheeler, though when Wheeler does make the start, I like him a lot in the matchup for the Phillies. And I think the Phillies stack will be a big one against Lance Lynn, who is a gamer. He's a tough guy. He'll go out there and grab his junk after a strikeout, but I don't think this is a great matchup for him, even though Philly has struggled to get everything going in the right direction to start the year. So if we take a quick look at projections, there they are. Christian Javier is projected well, so I like that a lot, that's falling in line with my quick analysis at first look. DeGrom is up there as well. Corbin Burns is our third highest projected pitcher. And then you make your way through. Jordan Lyles doesn't have the worst projection at his price point, but I do expect the Rangers to have some offense there as I talk through. Top stacks, if we look at the top three-man stacks, Mariners are number one here. So we both have it's going to be interesting to see how this breaks down. Corbin Burns listed at 16.88, but the the Mariners stack is our highest rated stack, three-man stack, and four-man stack, and overall projection. So we're going to have to see, rock in a hard place there, which breaks out. I go Corbin Burns over the Mariners stack. Pirates are up there. Rockies are middle of the pack when it looks to overall. Three-man stack, they move up a little bit, but you have the Cubbies, the Mariners, the Brewers, and the Dodgers as your top stacks. Braves, Astros mix in there. Interesting to see the top-rated expected home run output so far today on projections is Cal Raleigh. All right, well, not something I would have picked out just by doing some back-to-the-envelope first-glance analysis here, but still, I do like it. So, Christian Javier, Corbin Burns, maybe some Hayden Wesneski if I'm trying to get cheap, Jacob deGrom in the mix as well, and then talking about stacks, I think it's going to be the Rockies. I think it's going to be pieces from the Cardinals, perhaps, against Merrill Kelly. I like Padres one-offs as potential against Max Fried at low ownership. The Cubs are surprising me. So they have Mueller. They're projecting pretty well. Wisdom's been really good of late. You have Swanson. You have a bunch of righties here. And Mueller's numbers are limited to project against, so maybe the Cubs just getting a bounce there. And then the Rangers. I do think, I know Jordan Lyles projected somewhat well, but I do like the Rangers, Nathaniel Lowe, Josh Young, all potential. They do strike out, but I think balls in play, they're going to have some fun tonight in this matchup. So that will do it for this podcast. As always, let me know if what I am doing is benefiting you in any way. If it's not, I will try to switch it up and do something different. So until next time, you've been listening to The Dish.